Hello everyone, welcome back to our Lexicon Ethics series. Today we are exploring a topic that connects communication, trust and values, that is public relations and human values. You see, in today's world, it's not enough for an organization or government to do good work. People must also believe in that work also. That's where public relations steps in. It builds that bridge of trust between institutions and the people. And when we talk about the public relations, we can't ignore its ethical foundation because without ethics, public relations is just manipulation. So today, let's understand how public relations works and why ethics make it powerful and how human values shape its soul. Let's start with a simple example. Imagine the government launches a new scheme, that is free solar panels for rural household. But how will the people living in remote village even know about it? And more importantly, how will they trust it's not just another election time promise? That's exactly where public relations comes into play. Earlier, public relation was seen as something fancy, like a decorative extra. But today, it's as essential as oxygen. Why? Because people now have the right to information. They don't blindly accept what they are told. They ask questions and demand transparency and expect communication. And also, technology has also changed everything. With one message, you can reach millions in seconds. Borders don't hide information anymore. The world is wide open. So even governments use public relations not just to win the elections, but to explain policies, build awareness, and show accountability. So business depend on public relations to build and protect their reputation. Whether it's a small startup or a global company, public relations is what connects them to people. So in short, public relations is no longer optional. It's a survival skill for every organization today. But here comes the tricky part. What happens when public relations is built on lies? Imagine a company promoting a new medicine while secretly knowing it has harmful side effects. For a few months, it may make big profit, but once the truth comes out, and it always the company's entire reputation collapses. That's why ethics are the backbone of public relations. You cannot justify lies by saying the end is good. The public relation without ethics is like a house built on sand, and it won't last. Abraham Lincoln once said, "You can fool some people all the time, and all the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time." That line perfectly captures the importance of truth in communication. Unethical public relation might involve hiding bad news, showing fake success stories, and making false promises, or even forcing media to only show positive reports. But remember, the moment your conscience feels uncomfortable, you have crossed the ethical line. Because in public relation, truth is the only long-term strategy that works. And this brings us to the biggest rest of all, the modern challenges in public relations. Today's world is not what it was even 10 years ago. People are educated, socially aware, and connected like never before. One tweet, one viral video can completely destroy the reputation a company built over decades. And that's not all. Pressure groups like environmental activists, trade unions, or consumer rights organizations are constantly keep a check on public institutions. For example, imagine a company secretly dumping waste into a river. Earlier, such things might stay hidden. But now, environmental groups would expose it in hours and the entire internet would talk about it. So, public relation officers today walk a very fine line. They must be transparent, ethical, and legally sound in everything they say or do. Because single misleading message or careless statement can damage not just a brand but also public trust, something that takes years to build. That's why it's not enough for public relation professionals to be clever communicators. They must also be guided by strong values. Now, values in public relations. Think of values as a GPS system for public relations. Without them, public relation loses direction. With them, it knows exactly where to go and how to stay tuned. In the UK, for example, the Nolan Committee laid down the 7 principles of public life, that is honesty, integrity, accountability, openness, selflessness, objectivity, and leadership. They are not just words, they are guiding stars for everyone working in the public domain, especially those who communicate with citizens. When public relations is guided by such values, it stops being about polishing an image and becomes about presenting the truthful image of an organization. That's what creates real trust. And this idea that truth and ethics go hand in hand takes us naturally to the broader idea of human values themselves. Okay. Let's step back for the moment and look at the bigger picture. What are human values? Human values are the invisible threads that hold society together. They guide our decisions, shape our behavior, and remind us what it truly means to be human. From the earliest times, every civilization has placed importance on values like truth, justice, love, and compassion. Empires have risen and fallen. Wars have come and gone, but these core values have survived because they are timeless. Today, with global recognition through human rights conventions and international law, these values have become more important than ever. They are not luxuries that we can ignore. They are the foundation of humanity itself. And to really understand their importance, let's explore their nature. Okay. Now, don't imagine human values as boring rules written in some moral science book. They are not lifeless instructions. They are living experiences that shape our everyday actions. Think of how Indian families naturally show respect to elders, and that's not a rule someone enforces. It's a value we live by. Or take democracy, where every citizen is treated equally. That's also a value in action. Yes, values can vary from one culture to another and they evolve with time, but their core purpose remains the same everywhere. That is to make human life meaningful, fair, and beautiful. So, values may change in form, but their spirit never dies. And among these values, some stand out as the basic pillars that guide us through all decisions. Let's see what those are. The first is truth. It's actually harder to lie than to tell the truth. When you lie once, you need 10 more lies to cover it up. Truth is simple, clean, and lasting. It builds credibility, whether in personal life or public service. Then comes to love and caring. And no, not the Bollywood kind, okay? But genuine compassion for people and for the planet. Remember the COVID pandemic? Strangers helped each other with food, oxygen, and medicine. That was love in its purest human form, okay? Next is peace. Peace doesn't just mean no war. It means inner calmness, tolerance, and mutual respect. Think of Mahatma Gandhi. His path of non-violence showed that peace can be a powerful weapon for justice. Now, fourth is responsibility. Doing one's duty with sincerity, like doctors working tirelessly during pandemics or citizens protecting the environment. In Indian philosophy, this is our dharma. Okay, and finally, the justice. The sense of fairness and equality that ensures everyone gets a fair chance. From Plato's Republic to the Indian Constitution, justice has always been the foundation of the good society. These five values, that is truth, love, peace, responsibility, and justice, are the essence of balanced human life. But every light has its shadow, and that shadow comes in the form of negative value. The negative values are one of the most dangerous negative values is hatred. Hatred begins as anger or disgust, but when it grows, it turns into violence, both in words and in action. Just scroll through social media today. One hateful post can trigger riots, divide communities, or destroy years of harmony. That's why governments and social media platforms are now taking strict steps to curb hate speech and cyber hate. For example, many platforms permanently ban accounts that spread hatred or promote violence. But here the challenge, while fighting hate, we must also protect free speech. Because if misused, these laws can silence minorities or criticism too. So what's the real solution? Not just punishment, but education, awareness, and counter speech. When people understand the truth and communicate respectfully, hate naturally loses its strength, right? And that brings us the heart of today's lesson, the connections between communication, ethics, and value. So friends, what we have learned today, public relation is not about showing off, it's about showing truth with empathy. Ethics are what make public relation credible, and human values are what give public relation and life its soul. When honesty, transparency, and compassion guide our words and actions, no rumor or crisis can destroy our credibility. Whether you are in public relation officer or a civil servant or simply a responsible citizen, remember this: values are your lifelong compass. Follow them and you will never lose direction. That's it for today's lesson. I will be uploading the next topic in the coming days, so stay tuned. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.